Let's begin with one of the most foundational habits you can build for success: waking up early. Now, some people treat this as a productivity hack, but I want you to see it as more than just a trick. I want you to see it as a philosophy. The philosophy of beating the sun to the day. The philosophy of telling the world, I'm ready. Because early rising is not just about the clock. It's about the mindset. Let me tell you something. Success doesn't sleep in. It doesn't roll out of bed at noon and stumble into the day with no agenda. Success gets up with intention, with discipline, with clarity. And you know who shows up to meet it? The early riser. I used to be a late sleeper myself. I'd let the sun beat me to the day. And let me tell you, it felt like I was always behind on my goals, behind on my energy, behind on my confidence. But the moment I decided to rise earlier, consistently, that's when I started to feel the difference. That's when I began catching up to the person I wanted to become. Now, why is waking up early so powerful? Let me give it to you straight. It's not because you suddenly get magical powers at 5 a.m. It's because you give yourself time. Time to prepare your mind before the noise of the world comes in. Time to move your body before the demands of the day pile on. Time to reflect, to learn, to plan, and in those first quiet moments of the morning when most people are still asleep, you gain an edge. See, the early morning is sacred. It's the most undisturbed, unpolluted stretch of time you will get all day. No distractions, no emails, no social obligations, just you and your thoughts, you and your goals, you and your opportunity to win the day before it even begins. And I'll tell you something else. When you wake up early consistently, you begin to build something deep, something powerful. It's called self-respect. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to say, if I said I'd be up at 5, I'll be up at 5. And that kind of personal integrity, it spills over into every part of your life. You start keeping more promises to yourself. You start doing what you said you'd do. And when you stack enough of those mornings, day after day, you become a force of nature. Now, some people say, but Jim, I'm not a morning person. And I say, that's fine, but ask yourself, are you a success person? Are you a growth person? Because if you are, then sometimes you've got to train yourself to do what's hard, not what's easy. Waking up early is not a personality. It's a choice. You train your body, you train your mind, and then you reap the rewards. Let's talk about some of those rewards. What exactly happens when you wake up early? First, you gain clarity. The fog of distraction hasn't rolled in yet. Your thoughts are your own. That's when you can journal, plan, meditate, set the tone for the day with intention, not just reaction. Second, you build momentum. When you start the day with a win, getting out of bed with discipline, you're already ahead. You've already built confidence before the sun has even hit its peak. And momentum is a funny thing, it compounds. When you start strong, you're more likely to continue strong. Third, you create space for the things that matter. Want to work out, but say you don't have time? Wake up early. Want to read more, but never get around to it? Wake up early. Want to build a side business, study a new skill, or reflect on your goals? Wake up early. Don't make the excuse, make the schedule. And let me tell you about people who have changed their lives simply by shifting their mornings. I've seen people go from average to extraordinary, not by winning the lottery, not by some magic luck, but by taking command of their mornings, by choosing to start their days before the world could impose its chaos on them. You see, the average man hits the snooze button. The extraordinary man hits the floor running. The average man wakes up tired. The disciplined man wakes up on purpose. The average man says, one more hour. The man of vision says, one more step toward my dream. It's not just about sleep, it's about standards. It's about what you demand from yourself when no one's watching. And yes, I know, it's hard. It's not supposed to be easy. Waking up early means you'll need to go to bed with intention. It means saying no to late night distractions. It means guarding your energy like it's your greatest asset, because it is. But here's what happens when you make it a lifestyle, not just a one-off experiment. Your confidence builds, your time multiplies, your stress decreases. You stop racing through your days like you're being chased. You start living your days like you're leading. Now, don't misunderstand, waking up early alone won't make you rich, but it creates the space, the clarity, and the commitment required to do the things that will. It gives you the runway for takeoff. The rest is up to you. So start small. Maybe you're waking up at 8 now. Try 7:30. Hold it for a week. Then move to 7. The goal isn't to shock your system. It's to train it. It's to condition your discipline muscle until waking up early is no longer a punishment. It's a privilege. And if you're saying, Jim, I've tried before and I failed, let me remind you, failure is only permanent if you accept it. You don't drown by falling in water, you drown by staying there. Try again, and this time link it to your purpose. Don't just wake up early to say you did it. Wake up early for your goals, for your vision, for your better life. Wake up for your dreams. Because if your dreams are big, then your discipline has to be bigger. Here's the truth. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you've prepared for. Waking up early is your time to prepare, to sharpen your sword, to polish your mindset, to become the kind of person success is drawn to. So tomorrow morning, don't hit snooze, hit the ground running. Say to the world, I'm ready, I'm disciplined, I'm focused. And then prove it. Because when you start your day with purpose, you begin to build a life of purpose. Let's talk about something that too many people overlook. Your morning habits. Because how you start your day, that small slice of time when the world is still quiet and your mind is still clear, will determine how the rest of your day plays out. And when you stack enough of those days, guess what? You've just shaped the course of your life. Now, I've met a lot of folks who want success. They've got big dreams, ambitious plans, but here's the catch. They start their day with chaos. No plan, no purpose. They roll out of bed with their phones in their hands, eyes still half closed, and they wonder why their life feels like it's in disorder. Let me tell you, if your morning starts in reaction, don't expect your day to move in direction. The goal is not just to wake up early. The goal is to wake up on purpose and build a rhythm that tunes your mind for success. You need simple, powerful habits that put your mindset on the right frequency before the world even has a chance to interrupt. And I'll give you a handful of them. Tools I've used, tools I've taught, tools that have turned average men into exceptional leaders. First up, start with silence. Yes, silence. Before the emails, before the news, before the social media, give yourself the gift of quiet. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Sit with your thoughts, breathe, reflect. You don't need to chant under waterfalls or go to the Himalayas. Just create space between yesterday and today. Let your mind settle. The world is loud enough. Don't invite that noise into the first moments of your life each day. You'll be amazed at how clarity begins to show up when you give it space. Second, practice gratitude. It might sound like fluff to some, but let me tell you, it's one of the most practical success habits I know. Each morning, ask yourself, what am I thankful for today? Write it down, think it over, feel it in your chest. You cannot have a bitter heart and a grateful spirit at the same time. And when you lead your morning with appreciation, you disarm stress before it even tries to make an entrance. Third, feed your mind. Now this one's critical. I always say miss a meal, but don't miss your reading. In the morning, read something that feeds your philosophy, something that sharpens your thinking, a chapter from a good book, a few pages of something wise. When you learn something before breakfast, you walk into your day taller. Why? Because you know something you didn't know the day before. And that knowledge, it builds the foundation for confidence. Don't forget, what you put in your mind matters more than what you put in your stomach. Both matter, but the mind is primary. A good breakfast can fuel your body. A good idea can change your destiny. Next, plan your day. Don't just dive in blind. Take 5 minutes and write down your top 3 priorities. Not your to-do list of 20 things, just 3. What must get done today to move your life forward. If you don't decide, the world will decide for you. And the world doesn't care about your goals. It cares about its demand. You must be the architect of your day, not the janitor cleaning up the mess at night. Now let's talk about movement. Yes, physical movement. Your body was built to move, and motion creates emotion. A morning walk, some stretches, push-ups, whatever works for you. But get your body involved in the process of waking up your life. You'll notice that when your blood flows, so does your creativity. When you activate your body, you awaken your discipline. And remember, discipline in one area leaks into every other area. A morning workout is not just good for your health, it's a message to yourself: I show up. Let me tell you something important here. None of these habits need to take hours. Some people think a great morning routine has to be this elaborate production. No, simplicity is power. 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of gratitude, a short workout, a plan written down on a sticky note, that's enough to move the needle. Don't let perfection rob you of progress. Now here's a warning. These habits, they don't give you fireworks on day one. That's the trap. People try it for 3 days, don't feel like superheroes, and quit. But the real magic is in the compound effect. 1 day of reading won't change your life, but 100 days will. 1 day of planning won't fix your direction, but a month of focused days, that will shift your trajectory. I always told my audiences, you plant in the spring and you harvest in the fall. The habits you plant each morning are seeds. Seeds of discipline, seeds of wisdom, seeds of focus. And if you tend them daily, if you water them with consistency, they grow into results, into wealth, into character. I met a young man once who told me, Mr. Rohn, I'm so disorganized, my day gets away from me. I said, tell me about your morning. He said, well, I hit snooze a few times, check my phone, scroll a bit. I said, right there, that's the leak in your boat. I told him, don't start your day by absorbing someone else's agenda. Start it by writing your own. And he changed. Started getting up 30 minutes earlier, reading a page, planning a task, writing down 3 gratitude. A year later, he told me, I doubled my income, fixed my marriage, lost 40 pounds. I said, amazing. But deep down, I wasn't surprised, because when you own your morning, you start owning your life. Let me finish with this thought. The morning is not a punishment. It's not some cruel invention for early birds. It's an opportunity. Every single morning you wake up is life handing you another blank page. You can doodle on it, you can spill coffee on it, or you can write the next great chapter of your life. You don't need $1 million strategy. You need a morning that sets your heart and your mind in motion. A set of small habits that whisper, I'm becoming the person I was meant to be. That's how transformation begins. Not in the spotlight, but in the quiet choices nobody sees. So tomorrow morning, before the emails, before the demands, before the distractions, take 10 minutes for yourself. Think, move, read, plan, give thanks. Do it consistently, and you'll look back one day and realize that the biggest change in your life didn't start on a stage or in a seminar or with a grand announcement. It started at sunrise. That's the power of morning habits. And that's the beginning of real, lasting success. Now, I've met a lot of folks who want success. They've got big dreams, ambitious plans, but here's the catch. They start their day with chaos. No plan, no purpose. They roll out of bed with their phones in their hands, eyes still half closed, and they wonder why their life feels like it's in disorder. Let me tell you, if your morning starts in reaction, don't expect your day to move in direction. The goal is not just to wake up early. The goal is to wake up on purpose and build a rhythm that tunes your mind for success. You need simple, powerful habits that put your mindset on the right frequency before the world even has a chance to interrupt. And I'll give you a handful of them. Tools I've used, tools I've taught, tools that have turned average men into exceptional leaders. There's something special about the early morning, not just because the world is quieter or the streets are still asleep, but because your mind, your most precious asset, is at its most open, most teachable, and most ready to be. You see, in those first waking hours, before the noise of the world rushes in, your thoughts haven't yet been cluttered by demands, distractions, or decisions. The mind is fresh, it's pliable, and what you feed it first thing, well, that becomes the foundation for the rest of your day. Now, I've said this for years. Miss a meal, but not your reading. Why? Because what you feed your mind is more important than what you feed your body. Food sustains the body, but ideas, they nourish the soul. Ideas spark new thinking, they shape your philosophy, and your philosophy shapes your entire life. And there is no better time to consume these ideas than in the early morning. That's when the mind is still, it hasn't yet gone into defense mode, It hasn't been stretched and pulled by the day's urgency. In the morning, you can choose your input before the world chooses it for you. So why waste that precious window with junk? If you start your day with gossip, meaningless chatter, or the latest outrage in the news, what kind of foundation are you laying for yourself? Instead, I say start with wisdom. Start with clarity. Start with something that lifts you, not something that weighs you down. When I began my journey of personal development, I didn't have the strongest habits. I wasn't an early riser. I didn't have a morning routine. I'd let the day hit me before I hit it, and guess what? I paid the price. Confusion, anxiety, a feeling like I was always playing catch-up. But then I learned, success isn't something you pursue randomly, it's something you design, and that design starts in the morning. So I developed a habit. Every morning I'd wake up, open a book, and begin with 5, maybe 10 pages of something rich. Something with substance. It might have been Marcus Aurelius, it might have been Proverbs, it might have been one of those classics that sharpen the mind and stir the heart. But I knew, if I didn't feed my mind with something excellent, the world would feed it with something trivial. Now let's talk about journaling. I'm not talking about writing your grocery list or scribbling down your to-dos. I'm talking about thinking on paper, writing what you've learned, writing what you're feeling, writing what you want. The act of putting thought to paper is powerful. It forces you to clarify. It makes the invisible visible. You don't just think, you understand, and that understanding becomes the blueprint for your actions. In the morning, when the mind is clear, your journaling becomes more than reflection, it becomes direction. You look back on yesterday and say, what did I learn? You look ahead to today and say, what do I want to become? And suddenly your day has structure, your decisions have weight. You're not drifting, you're steering, and it doesn't take long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just a few quiet moments to set the compass, to orient the mind toward progress, not passivity. That's the power of morning reflection. That's the power of a teachable mind. Let me tell you something the greats all knew. Learning isn't something you do once in a while, it's something you do daily. And the more consistently you learn in the morning, the more your life begins to accelerate. You begin to notice patterns. You start making better decisions. You stop reacting to life and start anticipating it. Why? Because wisdom compounds. One insight leads to another. One idea sparks a breakthrough, and over time, you're not just learning, you're transforming. Now, some people say, Jim, I don't have time to read in the morning, and I say, then you don't have time to grow. Because we all make time for what matters. You got time for coffee, time for scrolling your phone, time for hitting the snooze button 3 times, but not time to feed your mind? Come on now. That's not a time problem. That's a priority problem. Here's something I learned from one of my mentors. Don't start your day until you've finished it. What does that mean? It means plan it. Think through it. Prepare for it. The morning is the perfect time for that kind of thinking. When you reflect in the morning, you're not just wandering, you're organizing. You're sharpening the sword before you go to battle. Another reason the mind is so teachable in the morning is because your subconscious has been working while you sleep. That's right, your mind doesn't shut off. It processes, it organizes, it dreams. And often the best ideas, the clearest solutions come right after waking. But if you rush into noise, into notifications, into stress, you miss the treasure. Take time to be still. Take time to listen to your own mind. And don't just read or journal. Meditate, pray, reflect, breathe. These are not luxuries, they're necessities, especially in today's fast-moving world. Silence is not empty, it's full of answers. And in the morning, silence is your ally. Let's get practical for a moment. You want to build a powerful morning learning habit? Here's what I recommend. Keep a good book by your bed, something timeless, something filled with wisdom, not fluff, the kind of book that makes you pause every page and think. Read just 5 pages each morning. That's 1,825 pages a year. You know what that is? That's 10 to 15 life-changing books every year. Second, keep a journal next to it. After reading, write down what stood out. Not just quotes, insights. How can you apply it? How does it relate to your life? What can you change today based on what you just read? Third, take 5 minutes to sit in silence. Call it meditation, call it prayer, call it thinking time. Whatever you call it, just be with your thoughts. Ask yourself powerful questions. Who do I want to become? What's one thing I can do today to move closer to my vision? Don't underestimate the power of small questions. They open big doors. And finally, review your goals. Not your entire vision board, not your 10-year plan, just 1 or 2 targets for the day. Keep your eyes on the prize. Let your goals shape your focus. Because remember, what you think about you move toward. What you feed your mind in the morning determines what it produces all day. Fill it with garbage, you'll get confusion. Fill it with wisdom and you'll get clarity. Fill it with vision and you'll start walking in purpose. So the next time your alarm rings, don't hit snooze on your growth. Don't postpone your purpose. Get up, grab a book, pick up your pen, sit in silence, and invest in the one thing that determines everything else, your mind. Because the mind, my friend, is most teachable in the morning. And if you train it well, it will build you a life that reflects the wisdom you started your day with. Let's take a moment and talk about a subject everyone wrestles with from time to time: motivation. That drive, that spark, that inner engine that gets you up and moves you toward your goals. You know, motivation isn't something magical, it's something intentional. And here's the truth: if you want to stay motivated daily, you've got to set the tone from the moment you wake up. That first hour of your day, it either builds the fire or snuffs it out. It either shapes you or shakes you. Let me tell you something I learned early. The morning is the most important part of the day when it comes to momentum. You see, how you begin determines how you continue. If you start in confusion, distraction, or negativity, don't be surprised if the whole day feels like it's slipping away. But if you begin with clarity, with gratitude, with purpose, you're sending a message to your mind, your emotions, and your environment. I'm in charge today. I remember I used to say, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's. That starts when the alarm clock rings. Do you own that moment, or does it own you? That's where motivation begins, not with a pep talk, but with discipline. The decision to rise instead of snooze. The decision to prepare your mind instead of being pulled by the noise. Now, staying motivated doesn't mean you'll always feel like dancing. No, motivation is like a well. You've got to go to it and draw from it. You don't wait for it to appear. You build it, you protect it, you feed it. The first thing to feed it with in the morning? A clear reason. You need a reason for getting up. Something meaningful, something bigger than your comfort. Because let me tell you, your pillow is comfortable. Your blankets will tell you stay just a little longer. But your purpose must be louder than your excuses. And purpose comes from reasons. You've got to remind yourself each morning why you're doing what you're doing, why you're working that job, building that business, studying that subject. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your future, maybe it's your freedom. Whatever it is, write it down, speak it out loud, look in the mirror and say, this is why I'm up today. You see, motivation fades when your reason fades. But when you review your reason daily, your motivation renews. I used to carry a little card in my pocket with my goals on it. Just a few lines, but every morning I'd read it. It reminded me that I wasn't just living another day, I was stepping towards something. And that habit created urgency, it created fire. Now let's talk about the role of your environment in setting the tone. The first sounds you hear, the first sights you see, the first words you speak, these things matter. Turn off the chaos. Don't start your day with bad news, social media, or gossip. Start it with something noble. Read something enriching. Listen to something uplifting. Watch something that builds instead of breaks. What you allow into your mind first thing in the morning sets the emotional climate for your entire day. Here's what I recommend. Have a motivational ritual, a simple routine you follow every single morning that wakes you up mentally and emotionally. For me, it was a mix of reading something valuable, reviewing my goals, exercising, and thinking in silence. That routine became a signal to my mind. It's time to rise. It's time to build. Let's go to work. You want to stay motivated daily? Then you need discipline. You need a system that works, even on the days you don't feel like it. Because let me be honest with you. Some days, you won't feel inspired. Some days will start with clouds. But discipline kicks in where emotion fades. And once you begin taking action, motivation often returns. That's the secret. Action breeds motivation, not the other way around. Don't wait until you feel good to start your day strong. Start your day strong so that you feel good. Now, I want to tell you about the power of affirmations. I know it sounds a little strange talking to yourself in the morning, but it works. Words have power, especially the words you say to yourself. If you wake up and say, "I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do this," you're already defeated before the battle begins. But if you say, "I am capable, I am focused, I am committed," you begin to rise. You don't have to shout it from the rooftop. Just say it in your heart. Say it with belief. Say it until your subconscious accepts it. Speak your day into motion. That's not fantasy. That's strategy. You also need to visualize. Motivation is connected to vision. Every morning, close your eyes and picture your ideal life. Not in vague terms, but in detail. See the home you want. Hear the conversations you want to have. Feel the success you're building. Walk through your goals in your mind like a movie you've seen 100 times. The clearer the picture, the stronger the pull. And when the vision pulls, motivation becomes automatic. Let me give you a truth I've lived by. The stronger your why, the easier the how. You can deal with long hours, setbacks, and hard days if your why is clear. And you should remind yourself of that why every single morning. Don't forget to celebrate small wins. One reason people lose motivation is they ignore their own progress. At the end of each morning ritual, take 30 seconds to acknowledge something you did well yesterday. Say, "I kept my word, I finished that task, I resisted that distraction." Motivation grows when you feel progress. And progress, even tiny, fuels momentum. And finally, don't go it alone. Motivation thrives in community. Talk to people who lift you up. Share your goals. Send a morning message to a friend with a quote or a commitment. When your environment supports your motivation, you multiply your strength. Let me close with this. Every morning is a blank page, and every day you live is a sentence in your life story. If you want to write a good one, start with a powerful opening. Don't wait for the world to motivate you. Become your own source of fire. Build habits that bring you back to your purpose. Build routines that remind you who you are. Build mornings that move you forward before the world can slow you down. Motivation isn't luck. It's built. And it's built one morning at a time. So wake up with purpose. Begin with discipline. And let each morning be the launch pad to a life of extraordinary success. So what have we really been talking about here? Not just mornings, not just habits. We've been talking about foundation. The foundation that supports a successful life. And the truth is, how you start your day determines how you live your life. If your mornings are chaotic, unfocused, and reactive, chances are, so is everything else. But if you can win the morning, you can win the day. And if you can win enough days, you'll win your life. The early morning hours are sacred. They belong to you before the world takes its slice. That's when your discipline gets forged. That's when your mind gets fed. That's when your body gets tuned and your spirit gets aligned. That's when you decide who you're going to be before the world tells you who it thinks you are. Now, don't let this message stay just as inspiration. Let it become transformation. Let this be the moment where you draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I take command of my mornings. I lead my day. I don't follow it. I build habits that build my future. It doesn't matter what your mornings looked like last week, last month, or last year. You can change it. You can start small. Maybe it's waking up just 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's putting the phone down and picking up a book. Maybe it's taking 10 minutes to journal or reflect. Whatever it is, make it yours. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. I've said this many times before, but let me say it again. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without discipline, goals are just wishes. With discipline, even the most impossible dreams begin to take form. So here's your call to action. Design your mornings. Don't leave them to chance. Don't let the world dictate the tone of your day. You decide. You lead. Start with intention. Start with wisdom. Start with movement. Start with clarity. Because the life you want, the success you dream of, isn't waiting somewhere out there. It's waiting here in the quiet hours of the morning, in the rituals you choose, in the mindset you create. You don't need a miracle to change your life. You just need a morning, and then another one, and another one after that. Stack enough of those mornings together and you'll have something far more powerful than luck. You'll have momentum. Wake up early, start your day right, build the discipline, shape the mindset, and success will have no choice but to meet you on the path you've paved, one sunrise at a time.